So, what was the first thing you thought when you found out you were going to be a father? Like, how did you find out you were going to be a father? Let's start with that.
I found out through a DNA test.
Through a DNA test.
Yes,
Okay.
I wasn't really too sure, but I did engage in a lot to an unplanned child of mine
Right.
before knowing he was actually mine.
So you
Sure.
the child was born, or you found out before the child was born.
I had a difficult situation with a female. It wasn't really a relationship,
Right.
but it turned ugly where I got the unknown, it was mine, it's not mine situation. So the girl was in a bad situation at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just did my part not to, if it was my child, to let it be without care and needs when he was born, or a place to stay and stuff like that.
How old was the child when you found out you were the father?
He was 8 months old.
He was 8 months old.
Yeah.
So did you have any interaction with this child before that?
I went to the hospital at his birth. I was there. I was actually handed the baby before the mother, so I felt kind of like shocked that happened.
But at that point, you weren't sure it was yours.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it was mine, but I was like a scared situation, and being put in a place where you don't know if you're the father, or it could be. So I just planned ahead and thought, okay, well, if he is mine, I'm not gonna let it go, let the emotions of being a fatherless child,
Yeah. What was your relationship with your father like?
I had a great relationship with my dad. He died when I was 15 years old. So at that point in my life, that's kind of where I lost reality and focus, and went through some hard times in
Sure.
that time.
So you found out that this girl was pregnant, but you didn't know for sure if you were the father of the child.
Yes.
And then you supported her during the pregnancy,
Yes.
and then you went to the hospital, and you're still going through all these emotions and emotions of uncertainty. How has Brian and the Pregnancy Care Center been able to help you?
There's been a hard road to getting visits with my son, or getting some exposure with my son. And there's a lot of uphill climbing where without some type of support, I don't know how to walk the long mile by myself without help and guidance, because I don't have a father, right? So I needed support.
Wow.
A bit of it's been like a mentoring kind of relationship. So we've spent time together talking about what it means to be a dad. I've been able to meet his son a couple times as well, and go to some of the visits that he's had and be able to interact with him there and just watch what's happening and enjoy that time. So I think a lot of what we've been doing is just conversations around being a man, being a father, and how does Daniel in the situation he's in make choices that will better his life in a way that actually leads to bettering his son's life as well.
What parenting resources have you found and with Brian? Like, how has he helped you to deal with this? And what is, you said support, but specifically give me some of the tools he's provided you with.
He's provided with thought of how to be a centered father.
Okay.
Having respect for the mother, even though she's hard to deal with, and communication wise is really not there. Being focused for my child in everything I do that revolves around him, and let him know that he's loved and cared for in the positive ways without him knowing my troubles.
And I think Daniel ran into, one, an unexpected pregnancy, and then two, unexpectedly trying to figure out, is this my child or not?
Sure.
And then three, the whole unexpectedness of, how do I spend time with my son? What's happening with access and custody issues? Like, there's a whole lot more to the story that we're not really getting into. But and I think guys like Daniel in this situation, sadness and confusion, those are common feelings that these guys are gonna go through. And sometimes that comes out at anger, or in anger. But underneath all that is really, I just want to be a good dad. I want to be a good man for this son that I know I've brought into the world. And I got to figure out how to persevere and just make it through some of those things. So I think those are really common emotions to feel: the sadness, confusion, fear, things like that.
What are the benefits of having Brian in your life?
It's just a positive outlook, and when I go through the uphill battles, I feel like I'm not alone. Even though I'm walking up it alone, I feel like I have support, and that's very important for me because I don't know where I would turn or how to climb without Brian. You know, I'm very fortunate to have made the steps to find support, and I'm glad that I found it through the pregnancy place.
Pregnancy Care Center.
Yeah,
Pregnancy Care Center.
Mhm.
I'm going to challenge you a little bit, okay?
Right.
I'm going to challenge you. You look like a strong guy, and you seem wise, okay?
Yeah.
Why not run? Why get involved?
I lost my father at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I was 15 years old, and at that point, I lived with my dad. So when he died, I kind of went homeless.
Okay.
At that point, it took me a couple of years to mature and get my life together, get a job, and work and pay for my own way.
Mm-hmm.
I helped people along the way that were going through the same situation as me.
Mm-hmm.
It was fortunate that they didn't look for the best interest of it. It just looked like they took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a caring person because I didn't want people to feel the same way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was told about the baby
Mm-hmm.
being pregnant in the situation, I felt like no child deserves to be, on the street or taken from the father or mother.
But it would be so much easier just to not do that, wouldn't it? You could just forget about the whole thing.
In my situation, no. It couldn't be because a child deserves the best, I grew up in a fortunate situation, 15 years old, trying to figure myself out. And it's sadder for a child growing up without any parents or other family that is not really a family.
Mm-hmm.
When it grows up 15, 16, it wanders and it feels left out. And that's very dangerous for a child to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes too, dads in your situation, Daniel, will almost get this protective kind of feeling too. Like you know there's something more, something better for your son, and it's like this instinct that kicks in as a man to say, how do I get the best for my son,
Right.
and how do I make sure that I'm around to do whatever I can? And
I think
that's
the
the
answer.
motivation.
You know what I think the answer to that question is? I think that how you get the best from your son is to continue to work with Brian, but I think it's also to really make yourself the best man you can make yourself.
Absolutely.
You said you grew up rough. What do you mean by that? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in group homes after my dad died, so
Okay.
I was very fortunate and had friends that after the group homes were no longer available, they let me stay with them here's and there's. So it was a hard road to getting financial stability.
There's lots of love in this dude, man.
There's a lot of empathy. Like this.
Yeah,
Daniel's been through a lot of stuff.
yeah.
And I think that's what makes him very aware of other people's situations, and I think one day can be very helpful for people.
Can I say, I'm going to say something about you. I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Sure.
I think that in the sense that your life was so hard without a father,
Right.
that you're sitting on the sidelines screaming, like inside, like a silent scream, like this is not the right path. The boy needs me,
Yeah.
and I need to be involved in his life more, as much as possible, as much as reasonable.
Definitely. And that's the reason why Get Up and Run is like kind of holding me back. Like, wait a minute, what if it's mine? How I can't get up and run. And if he's not mine, at least that boy will have a future
Yeah.
worth love.
Okay, so this is a podcast. It might be listened to by 5 people. It might be listened to by 1,000 people. It might end up being listened to by 1 million people. We don't know. If you have something to share with them, what would it be, Daniel?
Being a father is very scary. It's a situation where you have to be there for a child like you would want a father to be there for you. And everybody deserves that chance to have a father, be a father, and somewhat experienced fatherhood, even if they don't have their own children. It's a good experience, and it's what our generation needs is good mentoring, good support, and a change of views of the future for better children.
That's pretty good.
I think that's a good spot to end it out, man. Daniel, thank you for coming on the I Am
Nicely
Not
done.
Alone podcast, man.
Thanks.
That was a great sum up.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot,
All right.
Brian.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thanks.
you're a courageous guy, man.
Thank you, man. All the best.